Hello everyone, so today we are here to go ahead and work on this easy crochet box bottom bag. So we'll start off with some chains and then we'll work half double crochets into the chains, and once we have our first row established, we'll go ahead and continue back and forth in rows, making sure we're adding our post stitches in as we work up that first panel. And then once we have the length that we need for our first panel, we'll go ahead and work the sides edges with a larger hook, and that will make it easier for us to seam up the sides. So once we have that done, then we'll go ahead and move on to the bottom of the bag. And so for the bottom of the bag, we will also be working the half double crochet back and forth in rows. And then once we have that done, we're going to be ready to make the other panel. And then once you have both panels finished, then you're going to come back to the video and then I'll show you how to seam those sides up, and then we'll continue on to the bottom of the bag, and then we'll go up the other side so that all three sides will be seamed together. Then we'll go back and we'll finish off these bottom seams that we'll need to close up by sewing. And then once we have all that done, we will move on to our accessories. So we have a handle here on the side of the bag, and then we also have a drawstring, and if you did, I do have a pocket on the inside if you wanted to go ahead and make a pocket for the inside of your bag. And also, if you wanted to make a hook pocket, you could just go ahead and repeat the same thing for your handle. You might just not need it quite as long for your hook pocket. So just adjust the size for that, and then you can just sew it on the inside as a flat piece, just like the regular pocket. So once we get that done, then I can go ahead and show you how to make the drawstrings, and also how to place them in the bag so that it will close easily for you when you tug on both sides of the strings. So that is pretty much on the way we will be working up this beautiful crochet bag. So hang on just a few, and then I will go ahead and take you into the materials for the bag, and then we'll get started with this tutorial. So thank you again for joining me today, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. So the materials you will need for this tutorial is at least 400 yards of worsted weight yarn. I'm using the Impeccable by Loops and Threads Toasted Almond, as well as the Heather color. You will need a 4mm hook, a 6mm hook. You will also need a yarn needle and a pair of scissors. To start off with this tutorial, we're going to be using our 4mm hook, and then you'll just need to go ahead and make a chain of 57. So once you have your chain of 57 done, we're just going to work half double crochets in the second chain from the hook, and I like to work into the back bumps of the chain. So if you're not sure what the back bumps are, usually this is the front side of your chain with the V's. So I like to go ahead and flip it over to the back, and then now you can see these bumps here. And that's what I like to work into, because now it will leave this chain as the bottom edge, and it gives a nice pretty edge to the bottom of your work. So we're going to work a half double crochet into the second chain from the hook. So here's the first one, and here's the second chain, and that's the one we're going to work into. So go ahead and yarn over for your half double, and then insert your hook there into that second back bump, and then go ahead and work that half double crochet in that chain. And now we're going to go ahead and work a half double crochet in each one all the way across. So each one of those back bumps. So that should give you a total of 56 half double crochets all the way across. And then once you have that, you can go ahead and come back to the video, and I'll meet you back when I have mine. Alright, so I made it back, and I have all my 56 half double crochets. So I'm just going to chain up one and turn. And that chain one does not count as a stitch, so I'm just going to go ahead and work right into that very first stitch, a half double crochet. And now we're going to go ahead and work half double crochets into the next 6 stitches as well. So here's the first one, here's 2, here's 3, 4, oops, 5, and 6. So this actually gives us a total of 7 half double crochets. So in the very next stitch, we're going to go ahead and work a back post double crochet. So you're going to yarn over like you're doing a double crochet, and then you're going to go from the back of your work to the front, and then you're going to go around the post of that stitch, and you're going to bring your hook to the back. You're going to yarn over and pull it through the same path it took. You're going to pull up that loop, you're going to yarn over and pull through 2, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through 2. Alright, so that's how you do that back post double crochet. So now if you can see, the stitch that we just made is attached to that stitch there. So we're not going to work in that stitch, we're going to work in the very next stitch. So we're going to put a half double in here and work half doubles for the next 40 stitches. So go ahead and put half doubles in the next 40 stitches, and then I will meet you back. Alright, so I made it back and I did my 40 half double crochets. So in the very next stitch, we're going to do our back post double crochet. So you're just going to yarn over and insert your hook from the back of your work to the front. Go around that post to the back, yarn over and pull up that loop, bring it back through. You're going to yarn over and pull through 2, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through 2. Remember, when you do your back post double crochet, that it's already been worked, so you don't want to work in there again. You want to go into the very next stitch, and then you're going to put a half double crochet, and then you should have 6 more to make. So go ahead and put half doubles in those last stitches, which will be a total of 7 after that post stitch. So just keep working half double crochets to the end of the row. And I have my last one here. Alright, so now I'm just going to go ahead and chain up 1 and turn, and I'm going to go right into that very first stitch and put a half double right in there, and you want to put it in the first 7 stitches. So that was the first one. Here's number 2, here's 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So now we're right here at our post stitch. So now that we're on the front side of the work, we're going to do a front post double crochet. So we're just going to yarn over, and we're going to insert our hook around that post. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop. We're going to yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. Alright, so now you're going to work the next 40 stitches, half double crochets across. Then when you get to your next post stitch, you want to do a front post double crochet around there. And then after you work that stitch, you're going to put half doubles in the last 7 stitches. And then you're just going to repeat those same 2 rows back and forth until you get a total of 33 rows, okay? Including the ones that we have done already. So you should have a total of 33. So just remember to follow those 2 rows, making sure you're doing your post stitches in the same place, and they should always be on the front side of your work. So if you're on the back side, you need to do a back post, and if you're on the front side, you need to do a front post. Alright, so once you have all your 33 rows done, I'll meet you back. Okay, so I made it back and I finished all 33 rows. and then I ended up on a right side row, so you can tell because you can see your post stitches in the front. So I finished off here in the corner, and I was using the 4mm hook for this whole panel. So now we're going to go ahead and put that down, and we're going to grab our 6mm hook. There you go. So we're just going to use this 6mm hook, and we're going to go around the sides to put in a little bit of an edging. So we need to first put 2 more stitches right into this last stitch, so that it'll make it easier to go around the corner. So we're just putting 2 more half doubles in that same corner stitch. Alright, so now that we have both of our stitches in there, we're going to go ahead and work 1 half double crochet along the edge of each row. So how you can tell it's a row is if you look here, you can see the front of those stitches there. And then if you look at this next row, you can see the back of the stitch. So each one of those is its own row. So here's the next front side, and then here's the next back side. So that's what you're going to be looking for to make sure that you're only putting 1 in each row. So I had the first row done, so now I'm on the second row, and this is the wrong side row. So I'm just going to go ahead and put my hook right through there and put a half double crochet right there on that edge. So now I'm going to look for the right side row, and then I'm going to go ahead and put a half double crochet right into there. Alright, so now you're just going to keep working that all the way down. So here's the next one, and this is the wrong side row. And now I'm on the right side row. So just go ahead and keep working like that all the way down, and just make sure you're putting only 1 half double crochet into the side of each row, and you want to do that all the way down, and then I'll meet you back when we get to that corner. Alright, so I made it back, and I'm right down here at the bottom, and I just have to go and work this last stitch here. So I'm just going to go ahead and put 3 half double crochets right into this corner stitch, and then that'll help us get around this corner. So here's my last one. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and work into this bottom stitches here. So I'm just going to put 1 half double crochet in each of those all the way around. And this is why I like to do the back bumps, because it makes it really easy to go into for when we're doing these edges. So just go ahead and work those all the way around, and when you get to the corner, put 3 half doubles right there, and then work half doubles back up the side just like we did the other side, making sure you put 1 for each row. So I'll meet you back when we get to that last corner. Okay, so I made it back to the last corner, and this is where we started over here. So I haven't worked this top row just yet, so that's where I'm at on here. I don't want to put 3 in this corner because I don't want to work these first few stitches here. So all I'm going to do is just go ahead and put a slip stitch right into the same stitch. So I did put 1 half double in there, and now I'm just going to slip stitch right into that same spot. Alright, and now for these next stitches, we're going to put a slip stitch in each one of those, but in the back loop only. So we're just going to slip stitch right through there, and then in each of those. So you just want to make sure you're slip stitching through that back loop. So if you look here, there's the front and there's the back. You just want to go right into that back loop. So I'm just going to keep slip stitching across until I get to that post stitch. And this was actually the top of the bag, but now we're kind of turning it into the bottom of our bag, or it was at least where we finished off working. So I just got 2 more to go. So here's one, and then I'm going to put one more slip stitch in where the post stitch is. Alright, so now I have that made it there, and now the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and work the bottom part, but we're going to switch out our hook back to the 4mm hook, and then that way it'll be even with our half double from the rows that we made before. So we're going to do half doubles in the 3rd loop. So there's the front loop, back loop, and if you tip it to the front, then you can see that 3rd loop right there. So it's really easy once you tilt it towards you a little bit. So those loops there are the back loop. I'm sorry, the 3rd loops. So there's the front, the back, and then the 3rd. Okay, so I'm going to tilt it towards me, and then I'm going to work that 3rd loop right back there. That actually comes from the yarn over from the half double. So that's how you get that 3rd loop. So we're just going to keep working half doubles into that 3rd loop, and then we're going to stop at the stitch right before that post stitch. So just keep working those half doubles through the 3rd loop, and then it leaves this nice braided edge for the bottom of our bag. So that's why we're working it like that. So I'll go ahead and finish mine off camera, and then I'll meet you back when we get to that stitch right before that post stitch. Alright, so I made it back, and I have went all the way across to this post right before that post stitch. So now we need to chain 1 and turn, and then we're going to go ahead and yarn over, and then we're going to go right into that very first stitch, and then put a regular half double crochet right into there. So we're just going right into the top loops. So now you just want to work that all the way across. Alright, so you're going to do that for 5 more rows, and with the half double in the 3rd loop, that'll give you a total of 6 rows. So you're just going to work the 5 more rows with the half doubles and the top loops, just the regular half double crocheted rows. And then just remember, when you come to the end of the row, you're going to chain 1 and turn, and work in that very first stitch and then each one across. So keep doing that for the total of 5 rows, and I'll meet you back. Okay, so I made it back, and I have my 6 rows. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Alright, so this is what it looks like so far. So now you just need to go ahead and make 1 more panel exactly in the same way, and then when you have it, come on back to the video and I'll show you what to do next. So as you can see, I have mine second one done already, so I'm going to be ready to move on. So just go ahead and work your second panel in the same way, and then come back to the video when you have it. Okay, so now that you have both panels completed, we're going to go ahead and seam them up together. So I'm going to put away my 4mm hook, and I'm going to grab out my 6mm hook so that it will give us a nice join without being too tight. So if you haven't done it already, you can go ahead and cut your yarn and fasten off. And then I'm going to go ahead and seam up the side of the bag. So there's the bottom flap, and then this is the side flap here. So make sure that you have both sides of each bag matched up, and then you want to have it on the outside so that you can see your post stitches. So you're going to have the right side facing. Okay, so I am actually starting at the top corner of the bag, and then I want to join right in that middle stitch from that 3 half doubles that we had in that corner. So I'm just going to go ahead and find that middle stitch. It's right there. And now I'm just going to go ahead and insert my hook under both loops of that and slip stitch to join. And now I'm going to find the matching stitch on the other side for the other panel and go over top of my yarn and come back on the other side and find the back loop on that one. So here is that back loop of the stitch on the other side. And now I have 3 loops, so I'm just going to pull my yarn through all 3 loops. And I'll show this again. So I'm just going to go right into that front loop on that back panel and the back loop on that front panel. And then I'm going to yarn over it and pull through all 3 loops. So when you do that, you want to make sure that your yarn is underneath your hook, and that way you're be able to grab it properly. So go over, whoops, you gotta go over that yarn and get that loop there and then pull through all 3. Alright, so I'm grabbing this front loop here from the back panel and then the back loop from the front panel, yarn over and then pull through all 3 loops. So here's the front loop on this side and then the back loop, and then you want to make sure your yarn is under your hook and then you want to pull through all 3, and it gives you this really nice pretty edge here. So that's the look that we're going for. So just go ahead and keep working in that same way all the way down and I'll meet you back. Okay, so I made it back and I have my all the way seam all the way across. So now we have made it to the bottom of our bag, and now we're going to seam up the bottom edge. So those 2 pieces will actually match up with the bottom and fold down like that, but we're not going to actually be closing those seams up just yet. So we're just going to continue on the bottom middle seam there. So we're just going to continue on there and then we'll pick up the sides with our yarn needle when we get done. So I'm just going to pinch the sides down together like this so that we can match them up. And I'm going to get the first loop on this side. Just grabbing that front loop from that back panel again, and then the back loop from this front panel, and then we're going to yarn over and then pull through all 3. So it's the same method that we just used on the side, just now we're working across the bottom. So you just want to go ahead and keep working in that same manner all the way across the bottom. Whoops, I gotta go over my yarn, so I gotta make sure my yarn is underneath. And now I'm just going to go ahead and grab the loop from the other side. Sometimes it's a little hard to see through my camera. Let's see. All right, there it is. Okay, so now I'm just going to yarn over and pull through all 3. And then I'm going to go to the very next stitch and grab that front loop and then the back loop on the other side and then pull through all 3. So it's the front loop from that back panel and then the front loop from the front, or I'm sorry, the back loop from the front panel. So you just want to keep working like that all the way down, and then we'll come back and sew up those seams once we have all 3 sides seamed up. So we're just going to do this in a continuous manner all the way down, and then I'll meet you back when we get to the end. Okay, so I made it back, and I have did all the way across the bottom and then all the way across the other side. And so now I'm back up to the top of the bag. So I'm just going to go ahead and chain up 1, and then we're going to work half double crochets in the 3rd loop. So we're just going to keep working like that in that 3rd loop all the way across. So I'll meet you back when I get to the other seams, side of the seam. Okay, so I'm at the other side seam here, and there isn't really a place for you to find a 3rd loop there. So I'm just going to go in the back and find a loop that's easy enough to grab, and then I'm just going to put a half double crochet in there. So it's not necessarily the 3rd loop, but that's okay. We just want to get across this seam. So I'm just going to put it right in there and then just work a half double crochet. Alright, so I'm going to find the next one, and there's not one clearly there either. So that looks like a good place to go. So I'm just going to make a half double through that loop. Alright, so I got that one on. Okay, so now I'm ready to go ahead and work right into those 3rd loops again. So I'm just putting half doubles in the 3rd loop, and that pushes the front 2 loops to the front and leaves a nice edge. Alright, I'll meet you back. Okay, so I have made it all the way around, and then I went and slip stitched to the very first one to join. So now we're going to go and work our next row. So I'm just going to chain up 3, and then we're going to work double crochets into each of those stitches around. So go ahead and work your double crochets in each of the half double crochets around, and then I'll meet you back. Okay, so I made it back around, and I just slip stitched to join at the top of that 3rd chain. So for this next round, we're going to chain up 4, and now we're going to skip our first stitch here, and then we're going to work into the next stitch. So that chain 4 counts as a double crochet and a chain 1. So now we're going to chain 1, and we're going to skip the next, and then we're going to double crochet into the next stitch. So we're going to chain 1 and skip 1, and then work a double crochet right into the next. So you're just going to keep repeating that pattern all the way around, and then I'll meet you back when I have mine. Okay, so I made it back to the end, and I ended up with a double crochet right before that chain 4, so that's okay. And that was a chain 4, but one of those chains were a chain 1 space, so we want to go into the top of the chain 3. So here's the 1st, 2nd, and then 3rd. So make sure you're slip stitching in the 3rd chain. So now that we have that, I'm just going to go ahead and cut my yarn and fasten off. So I'm just going to pull my hook up and let the yarn go through to fasten off. And then these chain 1 spaces will allow us to put our drawstring through, but we'll do that in just a moment. Alright, so those will be the places for the drawstring, but before we do that, we're just going to go ahead and seam up the bottoms of the bag. Alright, so we're back here at the bottom of our bag, and now we just need to close up these seams here. So I have a nice long tail that I left to seam up the bottom. So now I'm just going to go ahead and thread my yarn needle. Okay, and I'm gonna tuck my needle down through to the inside of the bag, and now I'm gonna turn the whole bag inside out. So this is actually what would be the inside of the bag, and that way when we're seaming it, you won't see that on the outside of the bag. So now the bag is all the way inside out, and I'm just going to straighten these up and line it up. So now I'm just going to kind of go back and forth in the zigzag motion across each side, and I just want to pick up one loop on each side. You don't want to go through to the other side of the bag because you want to try to keep the seaming on the inside of the bag. So you really just need to pick up one loop on either side of the seam, and then just go back in like a zigzag or S form, making sure you're picking up each side so that it can form a nice seam. So I'm just going back and forth, or just grabbing one loop on each side. So you're just going to keep working like this, and this is how you will seam up the other sides as well. All right. So now I'm just going to go ahead and use the same yarn, and I'm just going to bring it through and go all the way across to the other side as well. So you can go ahead and work on yours, and then remember to get the other side as well. And then once you have all of those seams finished, then you can come on back to the video, and then I'll show you what to do next. You could also take this time to weave in your other ends as well. Alright, so the next thing I wanted to show you was how to make the drawstring for the bag. So I have already chained up about 200 chains, and I'm going to go ahead and work into those back bumps again of the chain. So I'm going to go right in. So there's the front of the chain, and here's the back. So I'm just going to go right into that back bumps of the chain. So you want to skip the first one and work into the second one, and then just go ahead and make a slip stitch into that back bump, and then into each one across. So you're just going to keep working those slip stitches all the way across in your back bumps, all the way down. And then when you get down to the end, you can just go ahead and cut your yarn and finish off. So you do need 2 of these for the bag, so go ahead and make 2. I just chained about 200 for mine, so just go ahead and work yours, and then I'll meet you back when I have mine. Alright, and I made it back. So I have both of my drawstrings done. So here's the second one, and then I have one in the bag already. So I wanted to show you that on the side of the bag, you want to make sure that you have the loop actually over top of one of your double crochet stitches, so that when you pull, it draws in. So that's how I'm going to show you how to do the other side as well. So you want to make sure that you have that post wrap. You want to wrap your drawstring around that post, so that when you pull on it, it will come in. So I'm just going to pull that side all the way through, and now I'm going to come in over top of that post and then pull that one through. So now all you have to do is you're just going to keep weaving it in and out of the other spaces all the way until you get to the other side. So I'm just going to go over top of the one that I have in there already, and just keep going in and out of those spaces all the way through till we get to the other side. And then when you get to the side, you want to make sure that both strands are out like that. So I'll meet you back. All right, so I have made it back and I have both strands out, and then I have this one, make sure it's covering that one, and then I have that one covering on that side. So now when I pull it, it will close right up. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to show you is the handle for the side. So whoops. So I'm just chaining up 6, and I'm using my 6mm hook, and then I'm gonna half double in the second back bump from the hook. So there's the first one and here's the second one. So I'm just gonna put a half double right into there. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and put one in each stitch across. Okay, so I just have this last one here. So the next thing I'm going to do is just chain up 1 and turn, and then I'm going to work a half double right into that very first stitch, and then in each one across. So you're just going to keep making those half doubles across just like that until you get the handle long enough. You'll know it's long enough if it wraps around your arm without being too tight or too loose. So just keep trying it to make sure it goes around your arm and make sure that it's long enough. And then all you have to do is when you get to the end of the row, you chain 1 and turn and work right back. So I'll meet you back when I have mine. Alright, so I made it back and I have my handle all finished. So you can see my hand is able to go through it nice and easy. I did about 23 rows for mine, but you just want to make sure your arm can go through nice and easy, but you don't want to be too loose because it will stretch over time. And if you wanted to make a hook case, you could just make another one, but maybe make it a little bit shorter to fit your hook. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish off here for my handle, and I'm going to leave a decent tail so that I can use my tail to sew it up to the bag. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and thread my yarn needle. Now that I got that through, we're ready to go ahead and sew it up to the side of our bag. So you just want to put the front one on top of that seam, and the back side will be on the bottom part of the seam. So you're kind of like sandwiching the seam in between there. So just like that. All right, so now I'm just going to go ahead and go through the bottom, and I'm going to pull that over top and go through the top as well. And now I'm just going to go right back down through the top and make sure I'm getting all 3 pieces of fabric down to the other side. And now I'm just going to pull that nice and tight, and now I'm going to go right back up through the bottom. And you want to make sure you're getting all 3 pieces of fabric each time you go up and down, so that way it's nice and secure. Whoops. So let me put that all the way through. There we go. Okay. So now I can go ahead and pull that through. And then I'm going to go back down again. And then back through to the other side. work my way back, work up through again, and grab this top. All right, so now that I have it all the way up, I'm going to go ahead and go back down and secure it again. So I'm just going to go right back down the same seam again. That way it'll be extra secure. So now all you have to do is sew in your ends, and then I will meet you back to do the next step. Alright, so for this part here, I'm just showing you how to make your pocket. So I'm using my 4mm hook, and I made a chain of 21, and then I'm going to work a half double in the second chain from the hook, and then I'm going to work a half double in each of those back bumps all the way across. And then you just want to keep working back and forth in rows until you have a pocket that's big enough for you. So you're just going to chain one and turn when you get to the end of your row, and make sure you're working right in that very first stitch, and then each one across. And then you just keep working back and forth in rows until you get the size pocket that you would like. So I'm just going to go ahead and work mine, and then I'll meet you back. Okay, so I made it back, and I have my finished pocket here. And then remember, you could also do a hook pocket if you like. So I left a nice long tail so that I can sew up all the sides. And I did about 15 rows on mine. So I'm just going to go ahead and sew it up on the 3 sides. So I'm just going to pick up a loop, not making sure I don't go all the way through the other side of the fabric, and you want to pick up a loop of the pocket and then pull it through. So you're going to pick up a loop on the bag, making sure not to go all the way through the other side, and you're going to pick up a loop on the pocket and then pull it through. So pretty much we're just doing like a whip stitch all the way around, trying to keep it straight. So just a little bit of the bag and a little bit of the pocket, and then whip stitch all the way. So you're just going to make sure you're sewing up those 3 sides for your pocket. And then if you wanted to do the hook pocket, you could sew it up at this time as well. So just do those 3 sides, so the side here, the bottom, and then up the other side, and then leave the top open so that you can use your pocket. Alright, so I'm just going to finish mine off camera, and then I'll meet you back. So just do those 3 sides there, and then I will meet you back when I have mine done. Alright everyone, so I made it back, and my bag is all finished. I have woven on my ends, and we have the handle here on the side, and it fits really nice and easy. And now we have our drawstring up here at the top, and then we have the bottom of the bag, which we made the box bottom, where we have the seam going across the middle, and then we went back and sewed up the corners. And then on the inside we have our pocket. I just did 1 pocket, but you could also put a hook pocket in if you like. And then that's pretty much it. So now you have this beautiful bag to enjoy, and I really hope you like this tutorial, and thank you so much for coming along with me. I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.